Welcome back, guys, to another video. I have another boxing commentary take. I want to give you guys my take on the Boots Ennis fight against I think his name is Avanesyan. I think that's David Avanesyan. This is the same fighter that Bud Crawford had knocked out, and he's a good fighter. David Avanesyan is a good fighter, but no one thought that he was going to win that fight. And what people wanted to see was Boots come out in an outstanding fashion and take care of business the way he did. What people did not want to see was a 12-round decision. I can tell you that for sure. And if Boots wanted to make a name for himself and move his name, in terms of moving it up in the ranks of being one of the top fighters in the world, then he needed to actually put out a dominant performance against David Avanesyan. Now, we have critics that are all over the place. I was listening to a couple of YouTube stations and channels of people making their comments and being highly critical of Boots Ennis. And look, you guys know how I feel about Shakur. I did a video about that. I told you guys that I love the way he boxes, and I don't see anything about his boxing style that's boring. You may prefer another style, but that doesn't make it boring. That speaks more to your mental capacity to actually appreciate the gamut of boxing, the full range of boxing. Boxing entails many different styles, and if you can't appreciate the style of a professional boxer because he's not going in there opening up and throwing more punches, then you can't really call yourself a true boxing fan, because it just means that you're probably more of a fanatic of a particular fighter, but you're not a fan of the total essence of what boxing actually provides. Now, when I watched the Boots fight, I thought it was an amazing fight. Now, I've heard critics say that he allowed himself to get hit too much. He gets hit too much. So what? I think this is what I believe. I believe people who know boxing, people who watch boxing, and people who keep up with boxing, they know for sure that Boots has the ability to be a slick fighter, but he's multifaceted. Boots can be a slick fighter. Boots can use his athleticism to overwhelm you. He can use his jab to overwhelm you. He can use his hook to overwhelm you. He can throw combinations to overwhelm you. He's very quick. He has great reflexes. He has a lot in his tool bag, in his toolbox. So he's limitless in that regard. Now, and I think what people want to see from Boots is to go in there and be slick and not get hit, but at the same time stop your opponent. That's very difficult to do. Even when I always have to use Floyd for the example, because that seems to be the reference point for every boxer now, is to reference Floyd Mayweather. Before, when Floyd became a Money Mayweather, I'm not talking about when he was Pretty Boy. Pretty Boy was more aggressive. When Floyd became Money Mayweather, most of his fights went the distance. He was a masterful tactician in the ring. Quick reflexes, quick hand movement, quick hand speed, great at counterpunching, and which is Boots is also great as a counterpuncher as well. I think we just accepted Floyd Mayweather for what he was. And I'm not saying that everybody that watched Floyd were rooting for him. There were many people who watched him that were rooting for him to lose because people hated his style. But I loved his style because it brought more attention to boxing. It was a style that people weren't fully putting their arms around, but you could not dispute the record. You cannot dispute the results, the outcome. He always won. He was undefeated. So when I look at Boots, I think people are trying to put on Boots the style of a Mayweather. Like, they want him to be a slick fighter, but at the same time, they want to have their cake and eat it too. They want him to be slick, not get hit, but then put other people out. That's hard to do, folks. If you follow boxing and you see the greats, the ones that had knockout power, they were always in the mix. They were always in there exchanging punches. That's how they got their knockouts. The only way to knock out your opponent, not the only way, but one of the few ways to knock out your opponent, is to either A, systematically go through to the body, break them down where they end up bringing their guards down and you catch them with a shot that they're not looking for. Because most boxers know it's not the punch that you see coming that knocks you out. It's the punch that you don't see coming that knocks you out. So you could break down a boxer systematically in that regard and then knock them out. Go to the body, make them bring their hands down a little bit and catch them with something up top. Or you can stop them with a body shot. So there's a twofold approach there. You can go to the body to break them down, to have them bring their guard down. You can catch them with something, catch them with a hook, catch them with the uppercut, something that they don't see coming. You can knock them out that way. Or you can knock them out by systematically just going to the body a lot and making them fold. Some guys take body shots better than others. So that's a difficult way to stop people. But if you can stop people that way, that's another way you can do it. A third way to knock your opponent out is to go in there and open up a little bit, take risks. And that's what Boots did. See, I was listening to a channel, I think it's a Pro Box Gym Sports channel. I forgot his boxing name, but he's a great analyzer of the game. And I respect his boxing mind for sure. I just didn't agree with some of the takes that some of the people on his panel were taking. I think his boxing channel is called Boxing Gems. He breaks down fights. He watches a lot of tape, and I respect his craft. I respect what that guy does. I really do. Just because I may disagree with him doesn't mean that I don't hold his his analysis or hold his takes to a high regard. I really do. I really respect his takes. A lot of my predictions have come because of watching his films and watching his breakdown. He's very intelligent in the way he breaks down boxing. But what I did not agree with was what I did not agree with the takes that the people on his panel were saying. They were saying things like, Boots was giving up too many hits. He's getting hit too much. And what was frustrating the people who were saying that was that they know that he has the IQ to do it. They know he has the ability to get out of the way. They know that he has the gifts to do it, but he's just not doing it. They said that his corner, his dad, Boots' trainer, his dad was telling him to throw the jab more, and Boots didn't listen to the dad, and he just got there in the middle and just started exchanging shots with David Avanesyan. But my take with that is that's a way to knock out your opponent. That's a way to get your guy out of there. If you want to get your guy out of there quick, you're going to have to take risks. Taking risks means that you're going to open yourself up to getting hit by throwing more punches, which leaves you open. But you do that, it's a calculated risk, right? It's low risk, high reward because it's risky. Nevertheless, the reward comes with a KO over the stoppage, as we saw with Boots. So Boots Ennis knows exactly what he's doing. He's too damn smart to even mention that he has low boxing IQ because he's choosing to fight a style that you don't prefer. That's just you taking your opinion and taking your approach in what you think he should do, and then using that as a metric to actually categorize his boxing acumen. His boxing IQ is fine. He's totally okay. He knows exactly what he's doing. If Boots wanted to go 12 rounds, he could go 12 rounds. You know how he would be able to go 12 rounds? Be slick, punch, jab, move out of the way, punch, move out of the way, let a couple of combinations go here and there. But Boots wasn't about that. His mission was to go in there and finish him. If you listen to the post-conference, after the fight, the post-fight conference, you heard Boots' dad. He made a prediction. He said that he thought that his son would finish David Avanesyan in round 4 or 5. And lo and behold, he finished David Avanesyan in round 5, a stoppage. It wasn't the KO. He did knock David Avanesyan down, but the corner was like it was too much. He broke his jaw. He broke David's jaw, broke his nose. I'm sure he has some rib damage as well. I mean, what more do you guys want from Boots? And here, after watching that masterful performance, an entertaining performance, I might add, you still have people saying, oh, he got hit too much. Okay. He chose that. See, that's the difference. He didn't get hit a lot because he didn't see the punches coming. He got hit a lot because he took the risk. He took the calculated risk of saying, in order for me to get my job done, I need to open up. And in opening up, I know as a boxer that I'm going to take hits, but that's my strategy. I want David Avanesyan to get comfortable with throwing punches. And as he's throwing punches, that leaves David open for me to counter him, and which is exactly what happened in round 5. where he knocked David Avanesyan down. David Avanesyan did get up, but of course, going into the 6th round, David Avanesyan's corner decided to, hey, throw in the towel. We're not going to take any more beating. Okay, and to me, that's actually more sinister to me. I know Bud Crawford knocked out David Avanesyan in these, I forgot what round it was, and it was brutal. But for you to for you to finish a fighter to the point where he's on his feet, but then he can't go anymore, that's just as lethal as I know the knockout looks good because you knock a guy out, he doesn't get up in the 10 count. But for a guy to get up, for you to pound him to the point where his body can't take it anymore, the doctor says no more, no mas. That's just as brutal as well. So there are plenty of ways to skin a cat. That's the proverbial saying. There are many ways to approach reaching your goal. The fact that Boots makes a choice, that's IQ. When Muhammad Ali decided to stay on the ropes, the rope-a-dope, many people would say that was stupid because he was taking a lot of hits. But that speaks to the intelligence of Muhammad Ali at the time. He knew he needed to do that to preserve his energy, to wear out his opponent. Allow his opponent to box themselves out, to punch themselves out. And then after that, go ahead and then do what you need to do. So, and I know the counter to that as well. You don't want to take unnecessary hits. No, immediately you get inside the boxing ring, immediately you sign your name on a dotted line to be a professional boxer. You're already putting your life at risk because any hit can end you. So, but while you're in the ring, the sweet science must go on. Now, if he acts like Shakur, then you guys are going to be like, it's boring. He just sits there and runs all day. And I don't think Shakur runs. I'm just going with the narrative that everyone likes to use, that he's a boring fighter. If he fights like a Shakur, you guys won't like that because you guys won't be entertained. But if he decides to box and open himself up to a couple of punches, then you guys are like, he's getting hit too much. So, I mean, you guys got to pick and choose what you want. I'm not like that. Now, the CompuBox numbers, if you look at the CompuBox numbers with the fight against David Avanesyan and Bud, and if you compare the two fights, Bud's fight against David and Boots' fight against David, the CompuBox number says that Boots got hit more. I don't have a problem with that because some of those hits weren't really flush. Yeah, he got hit with some flush hits, but it's a boxing match. You're going to get hit. So I don't know what you guys want. I think that people's minds are still, that Mayweather effect is still lingering. I think people want you to be in there and not get touched, come out unscathed, bruise up your opponent, knock out but you can't have the best of both worlds in that regard. It's hard to knock out your opponent without getting hit, unless you're fighting a horrible boxer, unless you're fighting a YouTuber. But if you're fighting another professional boxer, you are going to get hit. You are. Now, if you go into the match telling yourself, I don't want to get hit, then that's when you get the criticism of this is a boring fight. Boots is not letting his hands go, but when Boots lets his hands go, that means that he's opening himself up to get hit, because when you let your hands go, there's nothing up there to guard your face, guard your mug. So, I mean, you got to pick and choose what you want. I liked the fight because it was entertaining, and I liked the way that Boots finished it. The fashion in which he finished it was epic. So I didn't think that he would garner that much criticism, but I said on that thread on Boxing Jim's channel as the guys were speaking, I said that maybe you guys' expectations of him are too gaudy, are too lofty. Like, you guys expect perfection out of him all the time, and there's no such thing as a perfect boxer, because every boxer has a weakness, every boxer has a flaw, and the dichotomy between flaw and strength is always measured in the fact that how better is your strength than your flaw. If your strength overwhelms your flaw, then you can mask your flaws and still come out victorious. And I think that Boots' strengths outweigh his flaws by a huge margin. So same thing with Bud Crawford. Great boxers know how to hide their flaws because their strengths are so overwhelmingly strong that you can't even find their weaknesses. I understand what people are saying about Boots, because he has the ability to be slick and dodge punches while you're sitting there taking punches. The reason why he's sitting there taking punches is because, number one, he doesn't respect the opponent's power. Anyone with a mind, especially if Crawford and Boots fight ever materializes, let's say that does happen, I doubt it mightily that Boots will sit there and just take punches from Bud. He's not going to do that. He respects Bud's power too much, and vice versa. Bud respects Boots Ennis as well. So the fight will be different. Maybe the first 5 to 6 rounds is going to be a lot of filling each other out. And in the second half of the fight, you'll see them start to let their hands go a little bit more. Both boxers will be very cautious because the value, the degree of respect is so high that they won't go in there just letting their hands go, because letting your hands go leaves you susceptible to getting countered and knocked the hell out. The reason why Boots fights his opponents the way he does, especially the Villa fight and this fight with David Avanesyan, he doesn't respect those guys. So he chooses to go against the popular strategy of what people think that he should do, because people who know boxing, they know that Boots is more than capable of being more slick, being more defensive, getting his head out of the way, not keeping his head on the line. But if he can do that and he chooses not to do that, it's not a matter of IQ. It's a matter of will. It's not a matter of skill. He has the skill to do it. He just wills himself not to do it. It's a idea or a subject matter that steeped in willful disobedience, I should say. So if his father is saying jab, 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 and he's like, no, I don't want to jab. I just want to go in there and slug with this guy so I can knock him the F out. He chooses to do that because he's trying to put on an exciting fight. Listen to Boots speak. He's always talking about putting on a show. He wants to put on a show. He's not trying to put on a boxing clinic like a Shakur. And this is not a shot at Shakur. Their mindsets are different. If Boots wanted to put on a boxing clinic like Shakur does, hit, move, don't get hit, and do that for 12 straight rounds, he can do that. But he says, no, I want to put on a show. That's why he does a little showboating with his arms, like he's going to hit. He's a showman. And you can even see in press conferences, when he's getting interviewed, the guy can barely stay still. I could tell when the guy was in school, they probably diagnosed him with ADHD. He said it himself, I get bored out there sometimes. And sometimes I just want to try something different. He needs excitement. So the more you hit him, you get him more engaged into the fight. And the more engaged he is into the fight, the quicker he takes you out. If the fight is boring, this is what I believe. I believe if the fight is boring to him and he tries to stay too tactical, that's when he's at his weakest. That's when he's not concentrating. I think he's more concentrating when he's getting hit. That's his that's like that Incredible Hulk syndrome, that Incredible Hulk complex. Like the more Incredible Hulk gets hit, the angrier he gets, the stronger he gets. That to me is a Boots Ennis. It's like the more he gets hit, then he realizes, okay, now I'm in the fight. He can dismantle his opponents. He can unanimously beat guys and get a unanimous decision from all 3 judges. But you guys would be sitting here saying, oh, I wish you would have finished him. Well, in order to get the finish, he has to open himself up. That's the point that I'm making. You guys can't have it both ways. Either you want him to just outbox guys and get a decision, or you guys want him to get a decision, or you guys want him to go in there and get the job done. And yesterday he went in there and got the job done. There's no I don't have any criticism towards the way he fought, because he's choosing to get hit. Not like hit me. It's a strategy. Like I'm gonna do what you do. Like, do you know how debilitating it is psychologically to your opponent when your opponent knows that your style is different from his style, but then you, Boots, decide to go fight his style and fight his game and outbox him doing what he does best? That's debilitating. Okay, this is the analogy I want to give. We know Stephen Curry. I always like to use Stephen Curry as an example because we all know who he is. He's a great 3-point shooter. So we know that Stephen Curry is a great 3-point shooter, right? So that's like me. That's like a guy in the NBA. Let me use a center. Okay, let's use the center for the Houston Rockets. The what's this guy? Alperen Şengün. So let's say Alperen Şengün is playing one-on-one with Steph Curry. Now we know Alperen Şengün could just post up Stephen Curry because Alperen Şengün is a power forward / center. He's bigger, he weighs more, he can punish Stephen Curry in the paint. But let's say Alperen Şengün says, you know what? I'm not even going to use my strength. I'm going to play your game. I'm going to take you out on the perimeter and I'll shoot you. And let's say while they're playing one-on-one, Alperen Şengün outshoots Stephen Curry from the 3-point line and beats him. Do you know how psychologically debilitating that would, do you know psychologically what that would do to Stephen Curry? He's like, damn, this guy could have really just went down the post and destroyed me, but he decided to play my game and beat me. You're done. You're done. We all know sports is mental. 90% of sports is mental because once you get to the upper echelon, everyone is athletic. Everyone has a skill set. How you win the game is here. The fact that Boots decided to fight David Avanesyan style and just go at him, walk him down, because David Avanesyan is a forward fighter. He almost reminds me of Madueno, the fighter who fought Keyshawn Davis. Not as busy as Madueno, but he fights going forward. So Boots is like, okay, yeah, I'm going to just do what you do and beat your ass doing what you do. How about that? You see, that to me is it's psychological warfare. Yes, there's physical warfare in the ring. It's also psychological warfare that's going on in the ring as well. And I think that Boots did a masterful job of playing both sides. The first round, he was slick. After the third round, moving on, he's like, nah, man, I'm going to finish this guy. I'm tired of playing games. He's getting bored, guys. And trust me, Boots has a strong enough chin to take some hits. I'm not saying it's the wisest decision, but as a boxer, he knows what he's doing. He's the one taking the calculated risk. So I implore you guys, as consumers of the sport, as audience members, watch it, watch the fight, watch the matches, embrace the entertainment value, and stop being so critical. Trust me, when and if, hopefully it does happen, if Crawford and Boots ever fight, you will see a different Boots. And you might see a different Crawford as well, because when the level of respect is increased, both fighters start to fight a little bit more cautiously. But you tend to fight a little bit loose when you don't respect your opponent. And I don't think Boots respected David Avanesyan, especially David Avanesyan coming into this fight on short notice. He came in there to wipe him out, and he did. And if you're going to go in there with the intention of wiping out your opponent, you're going to leave yourself open to some hits. So the criticism he took too many hits, more than I would like, more than you would like. But it's okay for Boots is okay taking those hits from David. He may not be okay taking those hits from Bud, which is why I believe that he's going to fight a different fight. The counter argument to what I'm saying, I've heard people say this as well, is that, well, Boots does this all the time. How is he going to make the switch? He'll make the switch when he makes the switch. Trust me, the boxing pedigree, the boxing lineage in his family is deep, guys. He's been boxing since he came out of the womb. He knows boxing. He's choosing to do these things, folks. Trust me, when he gets in the ring with a reputable opponent, you're going to see the best out of Boots, and you'll see the best out of Bud. You'll see the best out of Bud. You saw the best out of Bud against Spence because Bud respected Spence, which is why Bud got Spence out of there early. But I don't think that the fight against Boots and Crawford is going to end early. I think it's going to be a fight that's going to go to the later rounds. I don't know who's going to stop who, but I think that it's going to be an epic fight, an epic battle for the ages. It needs to happen sooner than later. We don't want this to happen when Crawford gets too old. And then if Crawford loses, it's like, oh, he was older, he was past his prime. Right now is when it needs to happen. All right? So that's my take. I don't have any criticism against the way Boots fought, because he got the stoppage. Now, if he was just taking hits after hits after hits, and it went 12 rounds, and he went to the decision, then I might be a little bit critical. But the fact that he ended the fight early, before midway, because it's a 12-round bout, he stopped it in the 5th round. He probably could have stopped it earlier. I'm surprised that David was still standing. I can't fault a guy for doing that. And the same guys that are being very critical of Boots are the same guys that love the way Tank fights. Tank does the same thing. Tank will sit there and give rounds away and allow you to get confidence by allowing himself to get hit a couple of times. Then when he finds an opening, he strikes. That's exactly what Boots did. He hit David Avanesyan with a counter over the top to the head, knocked him down. David Avanesyan was never the same after that. All right. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Leave a comment, tell me what you guys think. Again, it was a masterful performance by Boots Ennis. I'm looking forward to seeing him fight more. And yeah, he's just bored, man. He's bored. He needs somebody to give him to make him go deeper into this toolbox. It's just like those sprinters in Olympics, when you've blown out the competition. You see some of the guys do it, they kind of turn around and look back and slow up. That's, to me, what Boots does. He gets bored and tries to do different things to excite himself within the ring. Is that smart? Well, that's subjective. It may not be smart to you, but that's what he needs. That's what he does for himself to get himself going. He knows all the strategies in the world. He's been boxing. He knows boxing with his eyes closed. He knows it. It's like somebody telling you to go over your ABCs like I already know it. Then you start getting bored. Now you want to start saying the ABCs backwards because you want to challenge yourself. Boots is trying to challenge himself within the fight. And when he's doing that, and when you hit him, the more you hit him, the more you get him engaged. The more you get him engaged, he puts your lights out. And that's exactly what happened with David Avanesyan. All right, thank you guys for watching. Leave a comment, tell me what you guys think. All right, peace out to the next video. All right, bye.